It's time for us to go to snow country.
Matt Harber.
Maybe it's snow country.
Snow country.
Yeah, there's still snow on the ground here.
All right, we're going to snow country with Matt Harber tonight, and we're going to take a look at a nifty little thing. And I spoke about this earlier. This is don't belittle this little project. This is a great little project because you can do standalone items and do accent items. Matt, this is your demonstration, folks. If you have comments on the demonstration, hold them to the end. If you have questions, ask them when you're ready. But let's let our demonstrator go rock, roll, and make some shavings. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. Well, first thing,
Hey,
before I
Can I
get too
cut in
crazy,
real quick?
yeah.
Are we done with the poll? The poll is like still on my screen.
Did
You can
not
close
sub-
it anytime you wish.
Did you
Okay,
not sub-
thank
Did you
you.
not submit it?
Well, I can't, but I didn't want
Okay.
to.
Well, Eddie, can I just go ahead and close the poll?
Yes, sir, it can. As we
Okay,
say,
thank you.
the votes are in. It's 61 out of 61. Has said, let's proceed with that project. We're proceeding with it. Now, Matt, it's yours.
Okay. First thing I want to do, is to show my own worldwide. It's my own stickers here. It's white, so it's not that easy to see here, and it's upside down. But I do have one, and it's there.
Good.
Okay.
Is that the ones we did early on?
Yeah, I got a
Okay.
couple years ago, like right after we've started, and I got one of the last ones. All right. So what I'm demonstrating tonight is what's called the Joyner jig. I got it from Ruth Niles Bottle Stop or NilesBottlestoppers.com. I do have links to show in a minute, but this is the whole bit of it. Okay. So what this consists of, and I'll show the details of this in a minute. This is the black bit is a mandrel. Okay. This bit is a threaded rod. It's 1/4 inch by 20. I don't know if I bought this from Ruth Niles or got it myself. And this is just basically a knob. And what this is a number 2 MT, and it sits in your spindle. And this goes on the outboard side and holds it in the spindle so it doesn't come out. And now I'm going to go switch to the details here.
Hey, Matt, you talk about that coming from Ruth Niles. You do know that an outlaw owns that firm now, right?
Who?
An outlaw.
Yeah, Carl Jacobson
Outlaw.
owns it.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The outlaw Carl Jacobson. He bought Ruth retired, and Chris and Carl picked up the business. They do
Yep.
great at it.
Yeah, Ruth's
Yep.
reasonably local to me too. Newville's
Very-
not far from here.
Very cool. Very cool. So this red bit is the jig. Okay. And what it consists of, the bottom of it here has a bunch of holes that you can set you can screw the mandrel into. Okay. And if you notice, they're numbered. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah, they showed up.
Number 1 is the center hole, which is where I've got this screwed into right now. 2, 3, 4, and they kind of spiral out, so they're getting further from the center. Now, this is 2 parts, okay? I don't know if you can see this here, but I've got this zeroed, okay? So there's a second faceplate in here, and it's held in by these screws on the outside here, okay? And so what you can do is you can unscrew these little screws and then rotate things. And what I've got here, this is a faceplate that I've made that's got double-sided tape on it right now. And that is screwed into the little faceplate here that rotates. So this has got all the functionality that Jim Duxbury's jig also has. But it's aluminum and it's numbered and you can repeat it. Okay, so let me go to the little document I got here. So using the Joyner off-center jig, the piece in the picture here is a piece I did myself on this jig, where this is what you get when you rotate it and do it in the same hole. You get circles like this, all the same size. These are the links. The first one is a link to the jig itself. My jig I got a number of years ago, and the one they've got up there now has got more parts than mine does. So the second link under that is the mandrel itself. She also has, well, it's not she anymore, but they have instructions on how to use it. And there is a second set of instructions, which is the third bullet point down. And I've been working off of these instructions here because these are the ones that I had when I got the jig. And the fourth bullet point is a direct link to this Excel spreadsheet tool that lets you reconfigure. And the little picture in the lower right there is a sample page from that spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet is a real cool tool if you can run Excel spreadsheets, because it lets you put in parameters and see, it'll show you what you get, because all that bit on the right, the diagram on the right, is what you get when you plug the numbers in. So this is another example of how to keep track and how you can repeat things with this. And one of the beauties of this tool is that it allows you to repeat a pattern that you like. You find something, you experiment with something that you like, and you can repeat it. So, and then let's go to this one again. No, let's go to this one. Okay, so this faceplate is just a piece of wood. It's maple, and it's got double-sided tape on it. And I'm using this carpet tape I got from Ace Hardware. They didn't have any of the Ace Hardware stuff. This is Duck brand, but it's worked pretty good for me today, at least. And this is my test project that I did earlier today with this jig. Okay, so we're going to play with that a little bit. These are used. This is pretty big. This is like 3 inches or so in diameter. This is a lot bigger than most of the little mandrels you'll turn, but this is not exclusively limited to doing this sort of mandrel. It will allow you to do small off-center pieces too. Like say you wanted to get something twisted on a chess piece or do bottle stoppers or something. You can use this jig to do off-center bottle stoppers, for instance. So any questions on that so far?
No, I'm gonna tell you folks, the ones that are being sold right now by Carl Jacobson, in my opinion, is made by the best machinist I've ever met, a guy named Paul Holmes out of St. Charles, Missouri. And he adjusted that thing on the outside to make it, I mean, the swirl and the cutters and the numbers and all that, he adjusted it because he didn't understand the other one. So this thing is very, very doable. Very doable.
Cool. Anything else?
Matt, also you mentioned repeatability, but you can also do lefts and rights, and that's worth trying sometime.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You can move it around. You can move the centers around. You can change which center you're using and then rotate it so you've got a different center. You can basically put a center anywhere on your mandrel that you want to put it on. All right, so let me get. So what I've done here is I've started with a piece of wood. It's kind of thick. I don't know, probably 3/4 of an inch. And I've sanded this pretty smooth. And one of the reasons why I've sanded this pretty smooth is so I can get it to stick to the double-sided tape here. So, come on, baby. So I'm going to try and get this as centered as I can. Oops, wrong side.
Yeah, I'm about to say that bump's gonna make it hard.
Yes, it is. I'll get some really interesting aberrations. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a, what did I do with that? There it is. I'm gonna do a little bit of cheating here. I'm gonna bring up a live center to hold it until I can get it cleaned up. Now, what you'll notice here, let me switch to the end camera, is this is kind of rough. All right, and I've got this nub to clean off. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to make it round, and then I'm going to clean up this surface, and then we'll start doing off-center stuff. All right. Any questions so far?
That's your rubber Chucky soft tip.
Yes. Yeah. It's and these are basically that's all it is, and it's just screwed on top of my live center. So, I have other ones, but this is smallest. Now, because this is just stuck on here with the tape, you want to make sure that you do the cuts you make are light. Don't get too aggressive. Don't get too crazy. Just do what you need to do to get it done. And I'm just using a small deep fluted bowl gouge here to clean things up. Making light cuts. Make sure your tools are sharp, of course. These are all shearing cuts. All right, let's have a look. Nice and clean. Now I'm going to use my big deep fluted bowl gouge and do a shear scrape across this. To remove any sort of. Yep. And then we'll sand it quickly here. I know nobody wants to watch sanding, but you're going to have to. Any questions?
Nothing yet,
Looking
man.
good to me.
All right. Note these are sanding mandrels. These are from Klingspor's site. You can turn these things on the lathe to make them different sizes if you want. The Velcro is from Industrial Velcro from Home Depot. And it makes changing your grits really easy. All right. Okay. All right. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off the center post and I'm going to move it to an outside post so I can make the hole in
This is Trice.
in middle. Hello?
Doing pretty good. Now fixing to try.
Hold on, Matt. We have to pop
got it.
up and mute everybody and bring you back.
We got
All
it.
right.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to change up what I did earlier. Okay. So I'm putting it in a different hole than I did this afternoon for my dry run or my test run. Because I want all right. And let me tell you how I'm modifying it. Okay. All right. So this hole was done in hole number 8. And these 4 circles here were done in hole number 8, about a 1/4 inch apart. So I'm going to start this in hole number 10, which is further outside. Okay. And I'm going to, if these were a 1/4 inch apart, I'm going to make them a 1/2 inch apart because I want more separation so I can fit a design in here a little more interestingly. Okay. So those are the changes I'm going to make for this alteration. All right. Any questions so far?
All good.
All right. Now, there's a number of different tools. Let me switch to this camera here. There's a number of different tools you can use to cut the grooves on this. So one of the tools is a diamond carbide tool. Okay. I have one of these. I think I got it from China. Don't tell Ron Campbell. This works well. I cut the ones I cut this afternoon. I tried all of these this afternoon. This is what's called a 3-point tool. This is homemade. I made the tool handle. I made everything on this one myself. I made the tool itself. And it's just basically, each surface is 120 degrees apart. There's just 3 surfaces on the end here. It's a piece of round stock. Now, I also have this tool here, which is called like a point tool or a diamond tool. You can use this to make grooves, okay? And you can use a skew. You can use this to make the grooves. And there's a guy online, video I watched a few days ago, who is making them with a spindle gouge or a detail gouge. You've got to be real good with this tool to do this on the face. That's all I'm saying. Okay, questions so far? All right, so this is going to be the first hole here. Oops, here. And it's going to be further up. And one of the things you can do when you're making this hole right now is you can do something around. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I made a sort of a dimple here. I've made this more interesting than just a hole. Okay. So that looks neat when you do that. So I encourage that also. So let me see here. Let me, you know what? I'm going to make this hole 1/4 inch deep. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the rubber chucky thingy out and do it with a 1/4 inch drill bit instead. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is drill the hole. And then I'm going to, and then I'll augment it, and then I'll get down and put in the outer grooves. So bear with me on this here while I change drill bits in my Jacobs chuck. Pick up any dropped
Camera angle
tools.
too?
What's
Can you
that?
change camera angle? Can you change the camera angle?
Sure. How about this one? Nope, that was the one we were at. How about this one?
Yeah, I think that'll look better.
Okay, so this is what it's going to look like whipping around here. Okay, isn't that fun? And just so y'all can see where my center is. Oh,
Yeah, I got to see this.
it's going to be right about there. Okay.
You think it was awkward the way you're looking at it? Think about the way we were looking at it.
So I'm just drilling the hole. No big deal, right? Now, because you're doing off-center stuff here, it's real important that you make sure that you don't, when you move the tool rest, that you stop the lathe before moving the tool rest, because you've got a lot of things flying around in midair that could whack that. So be real careful. Make sure you spin it so it doesn't hit anything. So now I'm going to clean this up a bit and make a sort of a dimple there. And I'll use this tool for it. My glasses so I can see what I'm doing.
What tool is that?
This is a deep fluted bowl gouge again, small,
Okay.
like, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so. And I'm just gonna, raise the tool rest. And I'm just gonna shave it out a little bit. And I could use a skew to do this with. Let's see, where's my skew? I could use a skew, use it as a negative rake scraper. All right, there's a lot of options. So I could even use a spindle gouge or something else. So let's see here.
Okay, members, as Matt is doing this, your brains are clicking, you're going around, and I got ideas about how to accent some things. Go ahead and play with your ideas.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is that, you know, all the ideas are valid, and you know, record what you're doing so you can repeat it if you're like, oh, that's cool, and then you're like, okay, that's what I want to do, you know. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so on this one here before, what did I do with my template? There it is. I started this quite a ways from my hole. Whoops, let me drop it down here so you can see it. I started this first circle quite a ways from my hole. So, you know, probably 1.5 inches. So I want to come closer in. So I don't know, let's start it there. And then we'll do the next one 1/2 inch apart. And the next one 1/2 inch apart. Now, if I can get one in, I don't think I can get one in here. We're going to sand off these pencil marks, but okay. So, and then the reason why I'm doing these is so that I know in pencil is so that I know where they're going to be, and I can find them with the tool. All right, any questions so far?
No, nothing.
And while I was doing this, Jim and Billy, if he's in the house, I was thinking about ways how I would do this if I was doing it with the tool that Jim built. You know what? I think those are too far apart. Let's change the design of this. Okay, so we'll still start an inch in, but instead of 1/2 inch, let's make it 3/8. Do it there. 1, 2, 3.
That's why you did it in pencil instead of tool.
Yep. No, it's there. Ah, it's here. All right. So this is going to be fun because now I've got to remember which one is which.
Matt, I do the same thing with my jig. I do a lot of pencil drawing too.
I believe it.
The other thing is, instead of pencil, sometimes I use a divider to give me I just scratch it on there.
Yeah, I hear you. I've got dividers that'll do that. 1, 2, 3, there. Huh. Is that right? That can't be right. I'm in the wrong one.
Too many lines.
Yep. All right, that's better. All right.
Colored pencils.
Yeah,
Colored
right.
pencils.
Easier to hit them when you got a lot of them.
All right, so I'm going to do a lot of stopping and starting here to make sure I hit the right lines. So I'm going to use the 3-point tool. I'm going to start it with that. I better check. Yep, okay. Now don't rush these and don't put too much pressure on them. Remember, you've got some air you're turning on these. I like that. 2, 3, this one here. So go slowly. Let the tools do the cutting. Not this one, this one. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my skew and widen these a little bit. And the reason why I'm widening them is purely aesthetic. I want to be able to put the Sharpie in here better so that you can see the cuts better. All right. So I don't know, can you guys see that? Those are the cuts I've got so far. All right. Questions so far?
Somebody
there.
asked, can you use a beading tool to do those grooves?
You can. You guys want to see me do that? We'll put one in on the end. How would that be?
That'll work for me.
What I have is the D-Way beading tool. Ah. All right. Marked with the Sharpie. Let's get a beading tool out and see what happens. Well, unfortunately, I've got either a real small one or a real big one. You know, I could have used this because I did 3/8. Yeah. I'm worried this is going to toss this.
Well, we own there's no rules, just experience.
All right, let's see what happens. So, yep, it does. It works. There you go.
That's cool.
Nice job.
So that was a 3/8 one. So probably would have given me a more precise. Oh, that's even a better cut. Note to self, use the beading tools. Okay. All right. Now, all right. So that's worked so far. All right. Here's the difference between the two so far. All right. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've gotten closer here. So enough to give me nearly a full circle around on this one. And they're 3/8 instead of a 1/4 inch apart. So they're a little wider, which gives me a little more room for the second bit here. So now if I want to keep this consistent, then I'm going to try to, everything's in the way. I'm going to try to shift to a hole that's on the other side. So this was in hole 10. So I think that hole 5 is on the other side of the center from this, but I'll check to make sure. But if I wanted to get them off to the center, off to the side, then I would switch it to a different hole. Or again, I could leave this in the same hole and change the indexer. You know what? That might be fun. No, let's show this.
That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah. We'll do something repeatable here. All right, so let me switch. Let me show you guys what I'm going to do here. Overhead camera is this one. Okay, so I was in this hole, number 10. So the one, and this is the center hole. This is number 1. So the one that's closest to being on the opposite side is number 5. But I know that this screw is going to be in the way, so I'm just going to move it. So that comes with 4 screws, and you're supposed to use 4 screws, but you can get away with 3, and the directions say that. 2 actually hold it pretty well. I have never had a problem. So if I go in 5, then it'll be a little closer to the center, and it'll be on the other side. The center will be over here, and you'll see that in a minute. So screw it in there. Any questions on what I'm doing?
Well, 5 is a different offset. If you want to keep the same offset, you can index the front plate, can't you? Is that?
Yeah, but I also want to change the center. I want a different offset.
Okay,
just to-
yeah,
to show this.
yeah.
So
Great.
that's where I was going with this. If you'll notice from this piece here, okay, this offset is a lot closer to the center than this one is. And this is the center for these circles on this one. So this offset is closer to the center. And if I wanted to, if I did, didn't want to mess with the indexing and I wanted it to put it over here, then I could, like, if I put it in 4, it'd be closer and over here, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or 3 or whatever. All right. But that's an excellent observation. So you can change the offset, and that's one of the reasons what makes Jim's tool so versatile. And this one also is being able to change that offset. All right, anything else? All right, so my center is going to be right about there. All right.
Switch your camera.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Sorry.
No, no worries.
All right, so y'all can see where the center is going to be. It's going to be right about there. All right, so what I want is I want to put one in the middle here. And I want to put one in the middle here. And I want to put one, kind of hard to see. Let's see how those work. Oh, that'll be interesting, won't it? Let's do that.
Yes.
Okay. I like those. All right. Let's start with the trusty 3-point tool. In here. Now I got a lot of meat out here, so I could probably put another one in here if I wanted to. Let's see what I got here. Let's use this to widen them a bit. That's probably pretty good. So we'll do those. So holes that the circles that I've just cut are these. In
Getting
there.
crowded on you.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the piece that I've got so far. I think that's a pretty neat looking piece right there, frankly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back on the center hole and just and give it some sanding and go from there. Any questions so far?
Hey,
Yeah.
Matt, before you take it off, wouldn't it be fun if you had just done the on the secondary where you've got the circle now, done that with the beading tool so that you had beads and flats?
Yep, you could. The short answer is that the beading tool will go pretty deep. Let me get the beading tool out. Let me show that. So
I
this,
know,
if,
Bill, I have one. I just thought it'd be fun.
okay. Yeah, the beading tool will go pretty deep. I mean, you're right. I mean, I could go back here right now and do that, I guess. So let's, as a matter of fact, because it's a request, because it's you.
Love you, Matt.
Thank you. So, and let's get the companion tool out that D-Way gives you, which is a sort of a teardrop shape and designed for, could use this to do this too. It's not working really well. So this other tool here is a D-Way tool also. And I can you guys see the shape of that?
It's sort of like the 3-point tool, but only 2 points.
Yeah,
Or
but it's
sides.
also slanted. So it's
Yeah.
the same sort of angle that the beading tools are. Okay. But it's like half of, it's like one side of it. Okay. So what you can do is you can use it to round those off with. So these are now more rounded, Sue. I'm a little worried about what it does to my thing in my piece in my hole in the center, but I can come back with a Forstner bit or something and clean that up on the drill press. So basically what we did is we made these rounder, wider, and I tried to. So that's educational, you guys. I don't know who asked about the beading tool, but that's a really great piece of addition to this. So thank you, whoever did that. Note to self: beading tools work really well.
That came from Stephen, who asked about that.
Well, that's a great addition to this because I didn't think about using those, and I'm glad you did. So, anyway, that's what that looks like with all the inking done. So, what it's given me actually is it's given me wider grooves there as part of it. So that's an interesting sort of change. So this is not, like I said before, this is not restricted to flat stuff. Okay, you can do this to do anything off center, like bottle stoppers or chest pieces or any, small candlesticks or something like that. Anything that's decent enough for the tool to take, for the jig to take, will work. If that makes sense.
Think about a lid for a box.
Yep.
Just, and you could put the knob on the hole or on the other dot, or both.
The holes are very precise.
Well made. Well made.
Yeah, it's educational to note as well that that this lathe does not come with a lock for a spindle lock. So I made one. It's got 2 magnets and it just sits over my button. All right, so I'm gonna sand this, clean it up a bit. So any more input or questions or anything I can help answer or?
I have some ideas I want to share at the end when you get this done, because this is such a nifty thing to work with if you want to have some fun.
Yep, it is a lot of fun.
And these are all scraps, or as Kim Tippin would call it, unturned wood.
Small pieces of wood waiting to become artistic creations.
There you go. I knew that. That's it.
All right. This
Didn't that come off of Ruth Now's t-shirt at her place?
So there's my finished piece using this jig. And I didn't rotate anything to give more off center stuff, but you can certainly do that. And if you're playing with the spreadsheet will let you do that. So there's a lot you can do, and I really love the idea of using that spreadsheet to pre-assess things before you wade in. So there you go. Any questions?
Pretty cool.
Here's an idea before we went one or too far. Okay, that is one sided piece. Let's bring it down to about 2 inches in diameter or 2.5 inches in diameter. And we put that detail on the face of it. Can we, with the double stick tape and the mandrel you have all made up, can we flip it over and do the backside?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I may need
not-
to replace some of the tape, but we can.
Yeah, but no, not really the same pattern. We're not locked into that pattern.
Right. So, and I can just put this anywhere.
Lord help you if you want the same pattern.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have the spreadsheet, Jim.
You don't do this.
So, all right. So now we've got the backside. All right. All I got is my hole. And I don't care because I'm just going to play with the pattern here. Got all these tools here.
Remember, the beauty of this is there are no rules on
Yeah, but
design.
and I didn't pay any attention to how it lines up with what's on the front. So we can just put a couple of things in here and go that way. So let's put a couple of tight ones in. These are centered. All right. So then let's rotate it. Let's put it in a different. And I just colored the ones on the front with the black so that you guys could see them better. And you certainly don't need to do that.
Instead of undoing the center, why don't you just do the offset? Show us how that works.
All right. Well, in order to do the offset, I've got to go offset center also. You follow me?
Yeah.
So I'm in a different hole than I've used for any of this. So let's put 3 more rings in.
Now this piece is being held on a wooden block held with double stick tape. That's why those cuts are so gentle.
Okay, I put 4 cuts in. So so the first set of rings are on center. The second set of rings are off center. So now I'm going to leave it in the same hole and I'm going to rotate it. So I've got to take these little, let me go on the top here. So I'm going to take these little screws out. So, and I can use the indexing here. I've got it zeroed right now. So I'll roll it. Let's say, I think there's, if I remember, there's 24 all the way around. Yeah, 6, 12, 18, 24. So let's roll it a quarter turn. So the 6 is now on the 0. And we'll go there. All right, so there's my 0. There's my 6. All right. Or not. There we go.
Also with the one I show, you just loosen the chuck, leave it in the same offset and spin the center and tighten the chuck. So it's
And the details for that Jim's talking about is on our website, folks.
All right. I'm going to try to be real careful here because I think the tape is starting to fail.
camera.
All right, so let's see what that did. So
Change
it's-
cameras, please, sir.
Oh, I'm on the top. I'm sorry. Thank you. So things have gotten pretty chaotic here. So the first set, this one, and this one, and this one are on the center. These are the ones I've just turned here. And these ones here are the ones from the first off center. So you can get a pretty chaotic mix here. That's one of the reasons why the planning with the spreadsheet or similar tool is pretty important, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
The
So-
three
Yeah,
offsets.
perfectly.
I've done a bunch of these. The 3 offsets work kind of nice. You'd go 0, 8, 16, I think it is.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not sure. This is starting to shift on the tape.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's loose. So I might, in the course of trying to change this, it might have got off center a little bit too. So I'm not so sure if that is a good example, but yeah, in thirds, that's a really good, or in quarters, you'll get one set of circles here, one set of circles here, one set of circles here, and that's a good mix, because you're going to get things intersecting at good places if you keep them. One of the other tricks you can do is put a piece of masking tape on your tool rest and not move your tool rest. So, I put a piece of masking tape here and I say, all right, I want to make my cuts at intervals of a quarter of an inch or a half an inch. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make one of my cuts here, one of my cuts here, one of my cuts here, one of my cuts here. All right. And so I've got an indication of where my cuts are going to go, and then they're all ordered. All right. If that makes sense. I mean, I was essentially doing the same thing on the front side of this when I was measuring. When I was measuring, how far apart these are. And we were doing the same thing with the 3/8 beading tool. These are all 3/8 inch apart, right? So those are all options. So, but having that repeatability can guarantee you a cleaner look instead of cacophony. So that's another good reason to record what you do. So, but I mean, I really like this one I did this afternoon. It's got a kind of a winged look to it, and these are really bigger than that you would usually have them. Usually they'll be about this big. Okay. So, lots of options. Questions?
Cool.
Very cool.
The other
No
important
comments.
The other important factor is the depth of cut. You want to keep that as equal as you can from one to the other.
Yep. Unless, I mean, there are reasons to vary that, but in general, you want them all to be the same. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jim.
Yeah, now if you domed over that piece, if you convexed the outside of that, you held the same depth when you pushed in the tool, you'll get a high and a low in each radius. You go deeper on one, it'll come up shallow near the edge. What we've been talking about, this is up to your mind. It's a very simple project, and the new joiners jigs from Carl Jacobson's firm, which is still Ruth Now's Bottle Stoppers. It has got some other attachments on the faceplate, so where you can get down to do earrings with offsets, you can do jewelry, all kinds of other things. You can play with it. Paul's just put a lot of tricks into it.
Yeah, one of the additions is the little green pieces. If you follow the links that are in my little spreadsheet, let me go to that here really quick. So if you go to the first link I've got here, this will send you to the bottle stopper. Okay, so you'll see that there's a whole bunch of new features there. So he's added some things other than what I've shown here. So the green pieces are basically replace the faceplate, and you put your tape right on the green pieces, and you move them around because they've got screws and stuff in them too. So they basically have removed the need to make the wood faceplate. So and I do want to, before we end up here, I do want to show this last bit here. So these are my basic steps that I followed here. Okay, so you turn and set up the waste block plate. You screw the faceplate under the jig. It goes on like any other faceplate. There's screws for it. You assemble the whole rest of the jig. You flatten out the faceplate, and then you put the two-sided tape on it, and then you use the spreadsheet to determine where you go from there. And in here, I've also said that I recommend that you experiment. I recommend that you try things. There are lots and lots of possibilities here that are really extraordinary, and I encourage that also. So,
just like a spirograph.
Yes, and some of the things that, I mean, in the first page here, this was kind of spirographic, you know what I mean? So
yes, that would look cool too in different colors.
Yeah, and what this is a piece of cherry, and my finish on this is super glue, and I have instead of painting or coloring the grooves, I've filled them with brass powder and used super glue to fix that in place. So there's a lot of things.
That is turning on one point, but indexing the block to create those 5 or 6
there's like
different lobes.
6 or 7 circles there, I
Yeah.
think.
Wow.
Yeah, that's neat looking.
Yeah,
That
so
was
there's a lot
Matt.
of choices. Yep.
Explains a lot what I wasn't getting before. So yeah, that's explains a lot. Thank you.
Yep, and the jig that Jim Duxbury made is a great jig, and it doesn't work quite the same way, but you can get to the same places with that jig. So and I think it's really cool to see that. it's on my list to make. So it's so
Any-
did I get it?
Matt, you said that the tape started to give up. I found when I've done them, if I bring my soft touch up, you know, when I've changed, I'll bring the soft touch up and let it rest on that face for just a minute or two to re-adhere that tape a little bit in case a little dust or something sneaked in there.
Yep, that's an excellent idea. And if you're playing around with the edges or something, you can leave it there. So yep, that's a great idea. And if you guys want to see this, I'll just show the last. I'll turn off the corners. I'll dome it so it'll be a little. You can see what how it looks a little more if you dome it.
Sounds good.
So if you're not bored of this yet.
I like it. I like the ideas you're coming up with, folks. You know, I know you're coming up with ideas. Challenges.
And what this is, I mean, this is essentially the same thing if you domed it to begin with. The cuts you're going to make will disappear at the edges.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It gives you the highs and lows I was speaking about.
Yep, exactly. So, and that changes that piece because it's now you've lost what was out here. So it changes it quite a bit from what we had before. So
Cool.
When you're done, I could show a piece of that that's done that way.
I'd love to see it. I don't have anything else. So, if we want to switch to regular club meeting and see what Jim has, I'd love to see it. Any other questions for me or anything I can answer with this?
Yeah, Matt, this is Doug Rowe. I came in late. What is the name of that you're using right now?
It's all in the spreadsheet, but it's the Joyner jig from the Ruth NilesBottlestoppers.com.
Joyner jig. That thing is cool.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
What I see, and I've never seen that before. This is my first time ever seeing that. What I see is a really high-end funnel recovery system. Because that would be a really cool plug to put in a bowl that I've messed up.
I'll send it to you, bro.
Oh, goodness.
A lot of options, a lot of options. Like to see what you members can turn out of this because it's not challenging. It's fun. It's just fun. That's it. All right, Matt, thank you so much for your demonstration tonight, sir.
And Matt, if you would send me a
Thanks,
copy
Matt.
of your